President Trump, following as a repost from October 11th of this year. Utilize the plan proposed in the petition referenced in this repost prior to implementing the tariffs you hope to impose on foreign corporations for success. The End the Job Creator Life petition will allow for the collection of taxes from the wealthy, including and especially giant corporations that have used loopholes to avoid paying their fair share of taxes for far too long. Putting the money generated by the plan provided in the petition back into the American economy will provide the leverage you'll need to effectively enact your tariffs. Now let me turn it over to Mr. Edward Leet for that petition.
EyeOpener, end the job creator lie. There shall be no tax incentive or subsidy for a tentative job to be created by any individual group, organization, business, or entity prior to the actual creation of said job. For an entity to earn a subsidy for any job that has been created, that individual or entity must meet the following requirements and any others deemed necessary to guarantee an equitable and fair distribution of funds. 1. All subsidies will be proffered only after the creation of any particular job. While this may sound like common sense, the opposite has proven to be the practice in reality. For years, Americans have been told that the rich need tax breaks because they create jobs. The problem has been that this argument has been used time and time again, whether jobs were actually created or not. Even in those times when more jobs have been lost than created, this argument persisted. That argument being that the rich need tax breaks because they create jobs. Moving on. 2. Any subsidy must be provided based on a graduated scale that determines the job's value. In other words, if the wage of the job is low enough to require additional forms of compensation. Extraneous to the job, the subsidy for said job shall be reduced by the amount of the extraneous compensation. The benefits package included with the job. Things like health care, dental care, eye care, etc. can offset the reduction of the subsidy. The scale used to reduce or increase the subsidy offered should be determined by the appropriate experts in the field related to such matters. 3. The employer being subsidized must retain the employees in question for a certain amount of time, unless there is just cause for termination. This is necessary in order to only attract entities that seek long-term commitments to their employees and the communities in which those employees live. No seasonal jobs shall be allowed, and no flit-by-night operations shall be allowed to create a destabilizing effect on local communities with revolving door hiring practices, with exceptions granted for just terminations. Payouts for subsidies shall be monthly or prorated for instances of just terminations. Of course, there will be other stipulations and requirements to receive such employment subsidies, but the 3 requirements, as stated previously, should provide a proficient baseline. One last thing to consider for these subsidies are the sizes of the companies receiving these subsidies, as well as the revenue for those entities recovering such subsidies. Smaller businesses should have access to larger subsidies unless their revenue indicates otherwise. Startups should be able to capitalize on the opportunities that such subsidies offer, including assistance in applying for grants or loans provided by such subsidies. In the end, the primary goal of such subsidies is to help businesses prosper while bolstering the economy and maintaining or reducing the burden on the American taxpayer. The way in which a program as detailed here does that is by eliminating tax breaks for tax breaks' sake. If a rich person does not provide a benefit to the economy, they should not receive any tax benefits, as if they have helped the economy. Eliminating such waste is a win-win for businesses that create good jobs, for politicians seeking to eliminate burdens on our economy, and those seeking an honest job for an honest day's labor. There are, of course, more details that would need to be worked out with such a program, but as stated earlier, this should serve a good baseline. After all, the term job creator implies something that those who use it as justification fail to understand. If these people are job creators, but they're creating bad jobs that keep people impoverished and further strain our economy, Shouldn't they be considered bad employees, and shouldn't they be let go? What employer would choose to keep an employee whose output is more of a burden than a benefit? Only a stupid one. So let's fire all of the job creators that can't meet a standard that will keep our economy strong. Let's not allow for companies like Walmart to pay such low wages that their employees need to apply for food stamps and other forms of taxpayer-funded assistance, especially when every Walmart store costs the taxpayer close to $1 million. Yes, it cost us all $1 million for every Walmart because their employees had to receive some form of welfare to afford the necessities of life. I think there's a link about this below. Why is this important? Though the means may be different, both major political parties provide tax cuts for the wealthy. The reason cited far too often is that the wealthy create jobs. This theory is part of supply-side economics, and it does not make sense in practice. This is because the wealthy do not create jobs simply because we give them more money. They can't create more jobs to create more products or offer more services just because they can. The wealthy, like every other business, big or small, only creates jobs when there is greater demand for their product or service. If, for example, a car company can't sell more cars than last year, they will not hire more people to supply more cars that won't sell. Why not instead subsidize only those wealthy individuals or businesses that actually create jobs? Good-paying jobs, preferably. In this way, the American taxpayer is saved a lot of money by not having to make up for the taxes that the supposed creators get even when they don't create a job. As an example, let's say that instead of giving all of the wealthy and all businesses tax breaks before they've created jobs, we only give those wealthy individuals and businesses money after they've created a job. Hypothetically, if only 20% of the wealthy individuals and businesses create jobs, we've saved 80% of the money that would have been given away in tax breaks for no reason. This is why I have little faith in Republicans and Democrats. Why couldn't they get support for an idea such as this, let alone come up with it themselves in the first place? To find out other ways you're being screwed by your current leaders, check out the posts on this blog daily. Learn about the biggest and worst issues that America and its people face today. You can also check in to also learn about those issues that America and its people will face in the near and distant future. If, however, you would like to learn about possible solutions to either mitigate the worst impacts of these issues or solutions to avoid them altogether, keep listening. The problems we face are not as complicated as so many leaders and news reports claim. They are man-made and are only claimed as complicated so those who are responsible can maintain control. For example, there is a persistent argument that moving government is like turning a cruise ship around. It is supposedly a long process that can only be achieved incrementally. While this may be true for laws and policies that benefit the majority of Americans, it does not seem to be so for that smallest of American minorities. When one examines the policies and laws that benefit that minority known as the elite or the rich, the speed at which those laws are passed is exponentially faster. While most of us sit on the deck chairs waiting for the Titanic to avoid the myriad of icebergs of which we seem to continually run afoul, the elite ride comfortably in speedboats. If, according to our Constitution, all men are created equal, why do the rich live quite different lives than the rest of us? Where is our speedboat? In 2018, Chris Osman wrote a book highlighting the problems humanity would face if more power, wealth, and control were funneled to a small cohort of individuals, groups, or organizations. In that book, Mr. Osman provided solutions from himself and others to the inevitable problems we would all face. In it, he also provided a means for the public to analyze, compare, and contrast the words and deeds of those we've chosen to follow against our real-world experiences. To this end, Mr. Osman provides the means for readers to disseminate information as provided by their news sources of choice, their elected officials, and any other authority they choose to follow. The book, titled Solutions, Enough Complaining, Let's Fix America, offers a means to hold leaders up to Not just a higher standard than is currently accepted, but one that will improve lives. If the job of the job creator is to create jobs, shouldn't we fire those job creators that create bad jobs? Click the link below and get your copy today.